All right. Thanks, everybody. Good afternoon if you're on the East Coast. Good evening if you're in Europe. And I've seen some of my friends from Europe on. And good morning if you're on the West Coast. I hope this is worth your effort and beneficial to you. So my name's Roger Cressy. I'm hosting the TechCast this week. A very brief introduction of myself. I'm one of the founders of Cubics International, which is an Oracle Platinum partner. We operate around the world, implementing and developing ERP, EPM, and BI solutions alongside our customers. And most importantly, I've been volunteering alongside some amazing people in various capacities with the Analytics and Data Summit User Committee. I still call it BIWA, but it's an honor to be involved with this bunch of people. So in terms of today, obviously, we're going to be talking about no-code ML and one-click augmented analytics in Oracle Analytics Cloud. But I just have a little bit of housekeeping I have to do first. So first of all, there is another TechCast this month on January 23rd, and that's being delivered by David Herity. And his subject is customer journey from vision to delivery. And I know that that's actually got a number of actual customer case studies, so it should be quite interesting. And then the most recently added archive was a presentation done by Brendan Tierney, planning my summer vacation using Python, machine learning, and Oracle Cloud. You'll see all of these, actually, you can see them on the presentation at the moment. If the Analytics and Data Summit org TechCasts link, you'll find a history of these and what's up and coming. Parshwa's contact information will be in this deck as well. And following the TechCast, we'll post a PDF of this talk, and we're recording it, and it will be loaded up to YouTube. And the hashtag that you look for on YouTube is hashtag #AND_TechCasts. All right, so we're really interested, if anybody's got knowledge, expertise, you've got tips and tricks to share, please go to that same area and submit an abstract proposal. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love you to share your knowledge. This is about us learning from each other and getting an understanding of how people are using this software. There's a myriad of different ways that people are doing that. And we'll look at that, then gets evaluated, and we'll slot you into a future TechCast slot. There's a helpful links slide, which is basically slide 2 here. This is something that will be also published, and those are areas where you can go and look at the detail of some of the things that are shown. And then the last thing, my last bit of promotion, if you like, before we move on to hearing from Parshwa, is we'd obviously like you to be aware that we have the Analytics and Data Summit. The annual event is in Santa Clara this year, not in Redwood Shores, and it's at the Oracle campus from February the 25th to the 27th. We'd love to see you there. It's obviously a lot of technical people getting together, and there's a lot of good learning to be done. So without further ado, Parshwa Shah, in terms of a description of him, he's an admirer of technology and an enthusiast who comes up with new problems and ways of solving them effectively. He's currently working as a staff solutions engineer at Oracle, helping customers to solve complex business problems by leveraging cloud technologies, specifically in the field of big data analytics, database management, and machine learning. So the session will take around 30 minutes, and we'll aim to have some Q&A in the last 5 minutes of that. In terms of any questions you want to ask, please don't put them into the chat, put them into the Q&A panel. And any of those that we don't get to will be answered post the event and emailed to you or discussed with you if necessary. So without further ado, let me hand over. Parshwa, would you take it away, sir?
Absolutely. Can you hear me, Roger?
Yes, perfectly. Thank you.
Awesome. Again, thank you everyone for joining the call. Parshva here. Hope everyone is doing well. Today, as Roger mentioned, I'll be spending the next 30 minutes or so to talk specifically about the machine learning capabilities in Oracle Analytics Cloud. Now, usually when we talk about the tools like Oracle Analytics, the first thing that comes in our mind is data visualization. But honestly, it's not just data visualization. The way these products are developed by the product management teams covers a lot more. And as you can see on the screen, it's literally from data loading till machine learning model deployment. The tool is capable enough to perform each and every task without writing a single line of code, which can enable citizen data scientists as well as business or data analysts to perform all these complex tasks just by simple drag and drop and few clicks. And I'll be showing that to you live in our Oracle Analytics Cloud. Before I go towards that, let me just talk briefly about what each stage means like. When I say data loading, the Oracle Analytics Cloud has the capability of bringing in data from variety of different sources, and that's not just Oracle data sources, but a lot of non-Oracle data sources as well. And we have out-of-the-box connectors available to bring in these data from these data sources. When I talk about data preparation, Oracle Analytics Cloud has a feature called data flow, wherein, as you can see in the picture, the data gets combined from several of the data sources. It can be joined and transformed and cleaned in a way where you can get the final resultant data set that can be stored into your desired database, and augmented analytics can be performed on that final resultant data. Exploratory data analysis. Well, we have a great feature called the explain feature, and I think that deserves a show. So within few minutes, I'll be showing you how you can use that explain feature to explore the data that you're not aware of. Machine learning. As you can see, we have variety of machine learning models in all different segments like regression, classification, as well as clustering. These machine learning models can be trained by single drag and drop, and you can, of course, have the capability of tuning that model by changing these parameters shown and get model evaluated. When I talk about model evaluation, even though you are not writing a single line of code, you have the capability of evaluating that model because Oracle Analytics Cloud gives you all the statistics like F1 value, confusion matrix, etc., which we will see in just a minute. And finally, the most important part is model development and consumption. Uh, we have the capability of deploying and consuming the model, and that can be not just done in a haphazard way. You have the capability of making sure that the model has access to the right people and right users, so that only few people have full control and few people have just read capabilities of using that model for further deployment. So enough of talks. Let's move to the actual product. So what we are seeing on the screen is the homepage of Oracle Analytics Cloud. This is where a business user or a data analyst or a data science guy can come in and perform all simple data visualization tasks till all the different tasks that I just mentioned. Talking about the data loading, as I mentioned, we have a lot of different out of the box connectors, and it's not just Oracle connectors. Of course, we have connectors like Oracle Autonomous Database, which is one of the great flagship product we have available at Oracle, but it's not just that. We have SQL Server, Spark, as well as Snowflake, Salesforce, Google Drive, Google Analytics, Dropbox, IBM DB2, you name it. These data sources can be connected, data from these data sources can be combined, and finally final data set can be used for data visualization purposes. For today's purpose, I'll be using a simple file that I loaded from my desktop to my Oracle Analytics Cloud instance, which is about bank marketing. Let me click on, as you can see over here, I'm inside a project in Oracle Analytics Cloud, which has mainly 3 different uh, uh, brackets. First is prepare. This is the place where I can come look at my raw data set, do some changes on the data, as well as combine the data and do some transformations. As you can see on the screen, this data set talks about phone calls that were made by the bank to the customers to sell a specific product. So it includes the profile of those customers, like what was the job they were doing, what's the education of them, what time or what month were they called, what was the duration of the call, as well as the most important column is subscribed. This is where I get to know whether that customer subscribed to that specific product or not based on the profile that's been given. So what I can do over here is go ahead and come to my visualization and understand what exactly subscribed is all about. Well, if I am a data analyst who has been given this task by my manager to go ahead, look at this data set and figure out what subscribed is all about, it would of course take me probably at least few hours to do some drag and drop analysis, even write some code to understand what subscribe means. But with Oracle Analytics Cloud, that can be done with just one click. When I right click on subscribe, it asks me whether I want to explain this column or not. And as soon as I click on explain, the tool mines the complete data set and comes up with few graphs. So till now, the way we used to work with analytics tool is that a user would go ahead and make some graphs, but now the tool is capable enough of making some graphs for the user and telling what would be the best thing to go ahead and try out. So as you can see, it gave me a very basic fact about subscribe, saying 88% of the customers did not subscribe to that banking campaign, but 11% of them did subscribe to the product that was being campaigned. So that's a good understanding. I can also know that there are around 41,000 rows, 41188 to be precise, in my data set. But this is just a very basic distribution of the column. But that's not just it. We have something called key drivers of subscribe. This is, if you're a data analyst or a data science person, you very well know how much time does it take to come up with this correlation matrix, where I need to know which are the other columns which are driving the column of subscribe that I just clicked on. And within seconds, I am able to get that answer saying month of the, which is one column that's highly responsible, as well as the contact information. Was it a telephone or a cellular? So these are the few parameters that were highly responsible to that were driving the column of subscribe. And still, it's not just that. We have something called segments, which tells me which segments are responsible for explaining subscribe, as well as something called anomaly detection. Again, this is again a great segment where a lot of data science folks spend hours and days to come up with these anomalies, and we are getting the results within few seconds. Let's say I am interested in few of these graphs and I want to start my analysis based on this. I can easily click on those and click on add selected. What just happened is that it created a complete canvas for me with the name called explain subscribe, and I have all the graphs that I needed to start my exploration. Again, these might not be the exact graphs that you need, but now with just one click, I was able to get to a great starting point, understanding what explain is all about. It has two values as well as the columns, other columns like this is month and this is contact. So these are the two columns which are responsible and driving my subscribe column. Well, that's great, but I am still suspicious. By just by spending 30 seconds or 1 minute, I was able to get the result. How authentic or how precise these results are, I always want to try that out. So to do that, what I'm going to do is run a machine learning model using a data flow capability. And when I run that model, I will find out which are the key drivers responsible for that model. And only if they match the results in the explain, I would believe that, okay, explain is giving me the right and accurate results. So to do that, what I've done is created a data flow. It looks simple, but it is actually simple. What has happened here is that I have taken a data set and done training. I've trained a machine learning model. So what I'm doing over here, and let me show you how that works. Let me go into data and click on data flows. So this is what a data flow is all about. I can click on this data set, data flow, and click on, I can select a specific data set that I want to work on and select the model I want to apply on that data set. If I click over here, as you can see, there are a lot of different options for which I can select and train my data set on. And finally, once I have selected the data set, I can always go ahead and tune these parameters. For example, right now I have selected 70% as training and 30% as testing. As encoding method, I've selected as one hot encoding, but I can always go with something else like indexer. Numerical column computations can be changed, etc. And the positive class in target. So I have yes and no, out of which yes is as a positive class and no as a negative class. And that column I want to predict is nothing but the one which is subscribed. So just by giving these default values, I can go ahead and train my model on the data set. And once I'm done with this, I'll click on run data flow. As soon as I click on run data flow, now I can go, the model gets trained. But as I said, I can always go ahead and look at the accuracy of the model. So for that, I will go into the machine learning section and look at the model accuracy. I'll click on inspect, which tells me that this is the column that I train my model on, and I'll click on quality. Looks like I've got a lot of false negatives, and which makes sense because as we saw that 80% of the values were no, and only around 12% of them, 20% of them were yes. So it looks like because the data set was a bit imbalanced, I have got a lot of false negatives, and the precision is also not great. But one thing which I have over here is called related, where I have a lot of statistics from the model that I just trained, things like confusion matrix, things like model drivers. Now this is important because I want to know which model drivers are there. With the interest of time, I have went ahead and created a project where we can talk about these things. So again, we know that there were 41,000 rows in my data set, and we know that the data set is imbalanced. We have 88% of them as no, and because of that, we have got this big red where there are a lot of false negatives. So we would have to do something about clearing those false negatives. And with the explain feature, we knew that month and contact were the two main responsible factors. But now using the inspect feature and using the data set that was given, which is the drivers, I created two more graphs, which you can see over here. I used those graphs and came up with the top 4 coefficients that were positively impacting my subscribed column, as well as bottom 4 coefficients that were negatively impacting my subscribed column. And as you can see over here, the contact and month are the main factors that were positively as well as negatively impacting my subscribed column when I trained the machine learning model, and which it does match with the month and contact that came up as a result of using that explain feature. So the first thing which I came to know is great, explain feature did work well, and because I did verify that by running a machine learning model on my own. So much within 30 seconds or 1 minute, explain feature does give me the right results. So I'm good with that. But I still have one problem over here where my model was not great. Looks like there was a lot of imbalance. So what I need to do is do something called oversampling or undersampling. when I say oversampling, I mean I need to make sure that I increase the yes a bit so that it's a bit more balanced. And then when I run a machine learning model, I'll be able to get better results. Now, if I want to do oversampling, of course, I might have to write some code. Well, in Oracle Analytics Cloud, you do not have to write that code. I again would use the data flow capabilities to do some oversampling because we have got a lot of good features in data flow here. So what I've done over here is taken that data set. I have filtered that data set to just include the subscriber yes, because yes have very, yes are very low. So I want to just filter it with yes. And I did that thrice and just did a union of it. So now what happened over here is finally the columns, I'm sorry, the number of rows which had the value of yes just increased, which made the data set a bit more balanced. And now once I've done that, I would run a machine learning model again on that oversampled data set. So on that oversampled data set, I will run a machine learning model. The output should be a predicted value as a yes or no. And this time I'm running a SVM, support vector machine model. And finally, I will save that data set. But in this data set, basically, which is the oversampled one, number of rows would be more because what I'm doing is unioning a lot of yes rows. So the final data set would have much more rows than the 40,000 ones. Again, I have trained the machine learning model on this oversampled data set, and let me look at the accuracy. If I click on inspect on this new model and look at the quality, look like the model has improved a lot. The model accuracy has increased from 66% to 86%, as well as the false negatives have decreased a lot. So this gives me a good understanding that even though my model was not doing well before, I use the data flow capabilities to oversample my data set. And finally, when I got that oversample data set, I trained my model again on that oversample data set to give me better results. And finally, I would go ahead and I created another canvas for you where it tells me that now I have 55,000 rows, but the distribution is much more balanced with just 66% as no and 33% as yes. And finally, the confusion matrix looks much better. And I again use those drivers as we see over here in related. There are drivers. I use this data set to make these two graphs, which are the top 4 coefficients affecting the results positively and top 4 which are affecting results negatively. So coming back over here, what we went through is we know how to now load the data with all the different connectors. We saw the data preparation where we were able to oversample the data set by running filters as well as unions. And we also know how to do exploratory analysis by running the explain feature. Just right click on a specific column and run explain. And again, it's not just that you can run explain on one column. You can run it on any column. So for example, over here, I ran it on subscribe, but it's not just the case. If I want to run it on month, I can always run it on month as well and get the right results. And I knew how to deploy the model, and we evaluated the model as well by seeing the confusion matrix in the quality of the model. One other thing which I would like to show over here is, let's say in this data set, I have marital state. I want to make my own graphs. Let's say I want to make something with respect to marital status as well as duration. I'll just click on that and drag it over here. Using just drag and drop, the Oracle Analytics Cloud automatically creates visualizations for me. And I have the capability of changing them as well to a bar graph or a pie chart or a donut or a pivot table, network graphs, etc.
Just so you've got 3 minutes left, sir.
Sounds good. Thank you. When I click on duplicate visualization, I can always go ahead and change my narrative to make it a text. So the Oracle Analytics Cloud basically converts the graph into a textual format for me to understand the data in a much more better way. Finally, today, if you are a data analyst, a business analyst, or even a data science guy, you know the different capabilities that are available in Oracle Analytics Cloud, which you can use to make your data science journey much more easier and faster. That's pretty much it from my end. Thank you so much. And Roger, back to you.
Thank you. So I've got a couple of questions for you, Pashwa. The first one is from, or in fact, they're coming in strong and fast now. So Christian, and basically, by the way, I'll continue with the questions even if we go over the half hour, people, and we'll publish them along with the PDF that we put up on the website. So the first question is from Krishna Sangha. Is the ML work on the direct live queries, or will it only work on the OAC exported data?
It does work on direct live queries. And the way it works is by scheduling the data flows. So over here, we do have the capability of scheduling these data flows. If I go over here and I inspect, I click on new schedule. So this is the way the data, as soon as the new data comes in, I can schedule the data flows to train the model on the new live data that's coming in from time to time basis. So yes, you can do that on live data.
Thank you. Then from Jamin Manger. Hi, Jamin. Does OAC allow joins between Essbase, Cube, and file or other data set types?
It does allow joins between two cubes, but I'm not sure if there is a join possible between a flat file and Essbase cube, but I can surely take that as a action item to research and get back.
Thank you. Okay, next one. Eduardo Garcia Amazola. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. When connecting to a database or Hadoop cluster, are we actually moving data to the analytics cloud? And where is the processing happening? Are all these capabilities you've shown available in Oracle Analytics Server?
That's a great question. So first, when you are pulling the data, it's a live connection. So the data is not getting stored, but there is a possibility that the data can be cached into the Oracle Analytics Cloud instance. But the data is continuously being pulled as you throw a query. And the processing of that is done in Oracle Analytics Cloud. And all the capabilities that I just showed you are, I would say 80% to 90% of them are available in Oracle Analytics Server. And the reason I'm saying 80 to 90% is because the cloud version of Oracle Analytics gets updated every quarter. But the Oracle Analytics Server is supposed to get updated every year. So the updates that come every quarter get into Oracle Analytics Server only at the end of the year and not every quarter. So there might be a bit of lag, but at the end of the year, Oracle Analytics Server does sync up with all the features that are available in Oracle Analytics Cloud as well.
Okay, brilliant. Next, Eduardo Alonso. What are the options to secure data in OAC?
So in terms of security, there are a lot of access rules available. For example, if you're dealing with any data set, you have the capability of giving access to only people that you want. For example, I just have access to this data set, but I can always give the access to the same, like to a group of people or to an individual based on my requirements and needs. And the access can be of three types. It can be a full control, read write, or read only. And this access is at project level as well as a data set level.
Brilliant. Okay, just two more questions I'll give. One from Anita Razdan. Hi, Pashwa, can you please share the other filters you had in oversampling data flow?
Oh, I'm sorry. Could you repeat that question?
Oh, sorry, it just all moved around. Anita Razdan asked, can you please share the other filters you had in the oversampling data flow or workflow?
Oh, yeah. You mean she wants to get the.
Because you had like 3 or 4 rows and.
Oh, yeah.
So
All the filters were the same. In fact, let me just open that. Yeah, all the filters over here were basically getting the subscribed as yes from the initial data set, and finally the union was done. And the reason for doing that was to get this distribution of 33% and 66%, which made the accuracy much more better.
Okay, then Barry Starkey has asked actually 2 questions. So I'll do it because it's one person. How did you put the confusion matrix into the project view is his first. And then his second is, which maybe you can maybe show him that, but maybe the second is something you can talk to. Also, is it possible to have a separate test holdback table, or are you forced to use the same table and percentages, say 2080? You may like to come back and answer that afterwards in the interest of time.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and how did you put the confusion matrix into the project view? Would you want to?
Was just a screenshot. So I just made a screenshot of the confusion matrix and attached it to my project. And so, which basically tells me about that in Oracle Analytics Cloud, you have the capability of attaching images as well as custom texts to make the project look much prettier.
Okay. Oh, clever, sneaky, but clever. Right, and then, okay, one more. This is the last one. Joe Greenwald. It appears to be a helpful tool for experienced DSs who have an understanding of the method and process of data mining. Is there any support for those new to data mining in terms of suggested process steps, etc.?
We do have a lot of documentations as well as videos which talk about the best practices to do data mining in Oracle Analytics Cloud specifically, and I would be happy to share those resources. And one of the link is mentioned in the helpful links. So, and feel free to send me a message or email. I'd be happy to send you more resources on your way.
Okay. So with that, we've answered the majority of the questions. There may be 1 or 2 more appearing now, but I just wanted to thank you all for attending. Just to remind you that this will be, this has been recorded and will be published to the Analytics and Data Summit.org site. And yeah, please remember to come join us if you can spare the time. It'll be worth your while in Santa Clara on the 25th to the 27th of February. Thank you so much for attending. Appreciate it. Goodbye.